Kia ora and welcome to art vlog number 3. So this is a combination of about 2 weeks worth of embroidery work on my duck, my Mallard Duck. This piece is something that I started back in September of 2024 but did absolutely zero progress on all of 2025, and this is the point in which I'm picking it back up again. This piece is quite a detailed piece, hence why I've taken such a long break from it. The idea of trying to start again on such a detailed piece is quite daunting, so this is my introduction back into this particular embroidery. So as you can see here, I have made a start on all of the base colours, the colour blocking you might want to call it, and I've gone relatively solid in most of the colour blocking for this initial base layer. We've got quite a dark brown on the tips of the wings, a warmer brown in the centre of the chest, and a nice middle or neutral teal for the base of the head. The grey on the body though, that is a combination of two tones of embroidery thread, a 01 and a 02. This is because my current stock of embroidery thread is a wee bit low, so to use what I have on hand rather than feeding that craft monster of buying more art supplies just because you can, I am blending the two for the base, and then once I've got my base down and want to change the tones or the shadows throughout the piece, then I can do that on those additional layers. But one of my big aims this year with my embroideries is to make use of some of the bulk thread that I already have, and reduce how much excess thread I'm purchasing, because I've got a lot of art supplies, and this here is just the box that I've set aside with this project. So these are the colours that I set aside for the base of the project, or for the colour blocking of this project at least. It's become quite a mess, so we're just going to spend some time sorting through the colours just to get a bit of a reminder of what I set aside. Some of these colours haven't been used yet, and some of them are a mix of brands, so based on what I have both between this box and my largest stash, we may change the approach to the piece, but we'll just see how that goes. I use these little plastic containers to keep the colours for different projects separate, especially since currently I've still got the bear on the go. It is downstairs taking a little break away from it to make those decisions on the next steps, but I do find having a break away from a piece quite good. It's nice to have a little refresh or a palette cleanser between projects. So this particular container is my plant or my working colours, my working threads. So we're just going to sort that out and tidy that up. I have separate little containers like this for different projects, or with just like my pin cushion, scissors, that sort of thing. These all stack together sort of like a fishing tackle box. I just got it from Kmart a couple years ago. It's quite good if I'm traveling, because I can just take the number of layers that I need for the piece I'm working on and leave the rest at home. I don't have to travel with my whole stash. And the good thing about these boxes is my little, I think they're about a 6x6 inch canvas, they fit inside the box that I'm using here. So if I'm wanting to work on just a singular small embroidery, I can contain it all into this one box, the threads, the scissors and the canvas, and it's all nice and safe for travel. I've done that in the past when I've had like exhibitions to work on, or when I went to the Christchurch art show. I could sit during the day and work on a piece but keep it all relatively contained. As you can see though, a lot of my threads are quite tangled, and it's a little bit hard to tell some of the shades between some of the threads. I think there's about 3 blues that are all very close in colour that I'm just trying to work out as to which I can pair together for the different parts of my shading process. This became such a mess because the box got knocked over a few times, in between a cat and the dog and us just existing. It all just sort of got biffed back in. So taking the time to sort it out is quite a nice way to reintroduce myself to this project. There's a few colours here that I'll put back in the box, but they may or may not get used for this project, but I put them there for a reason, so they can go back for now. And all my excess little threads and the wrappers, I just set aside in another container. All my loose threads I keep just in case, or to use as stuffing for the project, sort of like my little love heart pin cushion. Now, the daunting part of where to start. So I think with this piece, I might start by redrawing in a few of my guidelines, as they have been lost, a combination of them just sort of being quite light in the first place, but also my hand rubbing them away as I embroider. This here is the needle that I kept with the piece. It's quite a small needle. I do tend to try and keep it with the particular embroidery piece that I'm working on, as the worst thing is coming back to a piece and spending about 45 minutes just trying to figure out what size of needle I was using or the style of needle that I was using. I'm quite bad at keeping track of what I used on projects, so part of this year and doing these art journals is to keep track of not only the amount of time it takes to do a project, or to the amount of time it takes to work on a project, but also the materials used to do it. I decided trying to do the embroidery at my desk was too difficult. That desk is cut a little bit low, and the piece is quite large, so it's quite difficult to work on at the desk. So I've moved over to my little cozy embroidery spot. I find it much easier if I can perch my feet up to do embroidery, so sat in bed or in a recliner is quite good. In this case, I don't have a recliner, so I've just pushed a armchair up against my love seat, and it's given the dog, it's given Kate a spot to cuddle up while I work on it. But it also means that I can use my knees or my body to help perch the embroidery while I work on it, because it's much easier if I can perch it in a way where I've got a hand on either side of the canvas rather than having to move one hand from the back to the front to the back to the front. It doesn't always work, especially in some niggly parts of a canvas, or if I'm trying to get an angle to film. As you can see here, I've continued the colour blocking along the wings, specifically working on individual feathers along this front wing. On this particular wing, on my reference image, it is quite a lot easier to see that there's the different feathers, whereas on the back wing, or I guess it would be the left hand side from our point of view, it is pushed a lot further back in perspective, so you lose some of the detail. So where I can keep the detail, I'm going to try to. And just for your own reference, I will chuck in a copy of my reference image in now for you to be able to compare it with. And here is some real time of me doing my stitches. It is much slower working in these small little sections than it would be if I just colour blocked this whole light grey area in one solid piece like the rest of the wing or like the body. But I find, based on all my past projects, it's much easier if I keep my sections of the bird or the animal clear by doing the stitches like this than to lose all of that detail. As obviously there's no plan or guide to how these pieces should turn out. It is all free-handed. There is an initial trace or sketch on the canvas, but as soon as I start embroidering, you lose a lot of those lines, especially once the base layer is done. So as much details as I can keep throughout this process, the better. It's why it may also seem like I jump through different parts of the piece quite often, because I might notice that, oh, I want to do more details on the head, but if I do that, I'm going to lose where my eye is or the details on its beak, that sort of thing. But here you can see it is a very slow process to just stitch, and because of the part that I'm embroidering, it is actually easier, especially while filming so close, to have to move my hand from either side of the canvas. I would like to in the future find a way to create myself a little stand, an embroidery stand that would help with this, but anything I found online is designed for much smaller cross stitch pieces. But here's another day. We have finished the base on one wing and we are going to make a start on the second wing. So for this base layer we are working with 2 singular threads from 01 and 02 to make a 2-strand thread to work with. Oh, details. But this is where I'm at as of the start of this week. Well, it's about the 27th of Jan. Still got quite a bit of the base layer to go, including the wing and around the neck and the tail, but progress is being made, and that's the main part. If you have any thoughts or feedback on the piece, I'd love to know down in the comments. But otherwise, like, share, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And you can follow me on Instagram too. Bye!